Hey guys, new project, and I do apologise for the light, but it's dark outside. It's about 7 PM toward the end of October, but I have something I want to start filming now. So that's why I'm filming in the bad light. Normally I'd have filmed in the day, but I want to start work on this guitar because it is something rather special. And not special in as much as it's an expensive guitar, because it's far from an expensive guitar, but it's a Firebird type of thing with a different kind of neck and headstock on there. A guy had this built. Well, he didn't have it built. It's a kit guitar. It's a very nice kit guitar. It is. And so why is it come here if it's a kit guitar? Well, the guy's decided he doesn't want active pickups in there. He wants passive pickups. So I'm going to remove all the electrics. Going to remove the pickups. I'm going to put on a new nut. Blah 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 blah. And we are going to put in some passive pickups. We're going to put in some, just bear with me a second, because I've got the pickups here. And they are ToneRiders. ToneRider generator pickups. We have two here, bridge and neck. And that's what's going in, so we're going with passive pickups. No cord strut or anything on there, just going in straight. And the guy's told me, he says, don't just put any fantastic pots in there or anything, just any pots you've got is fine. I do have some good cheap Chinese pots which I bought a couple of years ago. They didn't cost a lot of money. I have 4 of those which will be going in. Well, they cost me about £1.50 each. I will get them as close to 500k as I can find in there. There's a 495, a 508. It's a 521 and a 485. Well, it's close enough. 485 is close enough. 521 is probably a bit much. But I will be sticking some of those, and I've got plenty of those. Charging him £1.50 each for these. In fact, I'm charging him 10 quid for 2 Mollard capacitors and 4 pots. So you can't really say better than that. Wire I'm not going to charge for anyway. And that's it. We're going to put the ToneRider pickups in there. Remove all the gubbins that came with the EMG pickups, the battery and everything. Put a new nut on there and give it a complete setup. I will check the frets, see if they need any work. So it's going to be a pretty simple, straightforward job for me. Something I can do. I'm going to start it now and get all the guts out tonight, and I can do the work tomorrow. We can have it back by the weekend. So just wanted to show the guitar. I don't know where he got the kit from. Didn't talk about that, but it's nice. Got some nice Grover tuners on there. So I think this is going to be pretty decent once it's all set up and got new pickups in. So check back and I'll update periodically. Hey guys, so bit of a confession to make. I had a little bit of a spurt on with this Firebird last night. I was meant to be going to a gig, but it got toward the time and I really wasn't in the mood. And I thought I can either go to this gig and spend X amount of pounds on alcohol and enjoy myself, but spend money on bus fares and booze and stuff like that, or I could stay at home and earn some money. And I decided to stay at home, so I got a little bit of a burst on with this guitar. And it's not finished, but you'll see the knobs are on there, which means, can only mean one thing. It means I moved all the EMG stuff, blah 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 blah, and I've removed all the EMG stuff because I put the new pickups in there, ToneRiders, and I've got half of the electrics in, and there you go. And I thought I'd really take my time and get it really neat, and there you go. 2 volume pots, 2 tone pots, the input jack, all soldered really nice, all nicely earthed, very good joins on there. And all I have to do now is solder in the pickups and the 3-way wire. Everything else is done. And what I thought I'd do is, with the pickups, I'm going to snip the wires, tidy them all up, and I'm going to test each pickup first before I wire onto the pots and before I put the capacitors in there. Now you'll see, not a lot of room between these two. So I've had to turn this one on its side, this pickup, where it pointing down, because if I turned it that way, they'd have been touching each other. It'd have been no good at all. So I've had to do it that way, but I'm going to route the capacitor through across here. I'll keep it all nice and neat, keep everything from touching, but I think that is going to work really quite nicely. Really quite proud of the job I've done in there. It's all very neat. So, got a bit of a spurt on my side, and all I really need to do is get the pickups wired in. Once they're tested and wired in, I'm going to move on to the neck. Now the neck is not without problems. There are high frets, and I have not balanced that into the equation. I've also not balanced that into the final price either, but I will cut a bit of slack when I'm doing this. It depends how well I do today. I've also removed a nut, as you can see. I will be putting a Graphtec nut on there, brand new one. I have quite a few new ones in stock. I bought them for various projects, and one of them is going on my Edwards, but I have 3 at the moment. I have 3 different white ones, and one of these is going to fit because they're all different sizes. I would have thought this one would be the right one, the 6000. It's like a Gibson type. I'll go for the Gibson one or the PRS type one. Let's see where we are. This one looks to be about right. And that's a lot more, it's high and wide. That's going to be more for an acoustic. So I would go with the PRS type, I think. Now, for those of you who do not know what TUSQ tusk is, it's basically a man-made substance that replicates ivory or bone. We don't go killing elephants for tusks anymore. Well, I don't, never have done. So, man-made by Graphtec, Canadian company. These nuts are pretty good. Myself, as sad as I am to say it, bone is still good for me, and that one's far too wide. That's not going to work either. So I'm going to have to go with the one that arrived yesterday, which is perfect because I don't have a guitar for it, which is normally what we stick on a PRS. This one, this being, and it is just about the right width. So try and get in there. And this is the one I would use. It's a PQ6643 nut. And this will fit perfectly. And I've already told him I'm going to charge him 10 quid for a nut, so I've paid for this anyway. And let's get in there. This is going to be the one. And there you go. And that is going to be the one, I'm sure it is. It'll need a little bit of adjustment, but the string spacing is alright. And that is perfect for there. It'll need a little bit of adapting because the shelf is not perfectly flat, but that will be the right nut to go on there. It's going to look fine. So that's going to go on there. So I will adapt and file that later, make it fit nice, and I'll put some epoxy on there and we'll get it on that nut shelf, and that'll be absolutely fine. So that's the nut we're going with. So I'm going to crack on with the electrics. Like I say, with some frets need levelling. Over about 4 or 5 I checked when I checked yesterday with the fret rocker. So that nut I shall put aside. Notice I've been, not been to the barber's today, I've been to the salon and I've had my hair cut today. All nice and shaved. I'm not taking that off because I've got no product in there. So it's all a little bit skew with. But yeah, enjoyed that this morning. I always like having my head shaved. I'm actually going back every 2 weeks now. And I don't go to the barber's, I go to the salon. It's a little bit more expensive, but I love it in there. It's fantastic. So anyway, I digress. Back to guitars. I'm going to crack on with this guitar, get the pickups all sorted out. Once they're done, move on to the neck. I will come back and show you progress as and when. The electrics and the pickups are now all done and wired in. Kept it reasonably neat in there. I did work with the pots inside the guitar, so it was a little bit of a stretch in places, but looks fantastic. I've tested the pickups, the volume pots and the tone pots, and everything works exactly as it should. Pickups are in, so that part of the guitar and the process is finished. Now what I need to do is been across with a fret rocker. There's 6 frets up this end going up and down all over the place. This does need a fret level, and I didn't factor that into the price. So what I've done is I've cut a real good deal with Danny and offered him really, I'm doing it for next to nothing. I've offered it, I said for an extra hour's payment, extra hour on there, I will do a complete fret level, recrown and polish. He's not got back to me yet, but I'm sure he will. I'm going to do the work anyway, and if he says he can't afford it, I'll do it for nothing. But if he can afford it and he wants it, then I'll charge him for an hour. So I'm going to, without further ado, I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm going to crack on with it. And this guitar, I'm just going to put the backing plate back on there because that is all done. Really pleased with how this has gone so far. So all I really need to do now is give it a fret level, glue a nut on there, carve a nut, get some strings on, get it set up. So I will have this one done by the end of this afternoon, I believe. So without further ado, I just want to crack on and get it done. So I shall do that. I shall come and give you a progress report in a very short while. So welcome back. You will now see that I have the neck straight. This is a not straight edge. What we do is we alter the truss rod with the adjuster, blah 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 blah, which I've already done. Then we put the not straight edge over the frets, and we get the neck as level and as flat as we possibly can. So there's no gap under this not straight edge, and there isn't. If there is, it's very very slight because the wood in the neck is not perfectly straight. But that is what I call a straight neck. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go across with a fret rocker. We all know how a fret rocker works. 3 frets at a time. If we get any rock anywhere, there is a high spot on the middle fret. I'm going to take a marker pen and I'm going to go across the frets just so we can see which ones need work. And I'm going to start at this end already. So they're rocking in the middle slightly, but at the edge a lot. So we already have one. So I'm going to mark half a fret. Because what I've done is I didn't price this into the job, and it is going to need a fret level, and there you go, this one's really high. This side, middle, that side's okay. So again, like I say, all over the place, so half a fret this side. 2 out of 3 looks pretty bad, don't worry, it's not. We're not as many frets out of whack as you might think we're going to be. This one here in the middle, and right on this edge again. So again, 2/3 of a fret. So I think we're absolutely totally justified in saying we need to get these frets levelled. Now, what I've done is, because I didn't factor this in, that edge, because I didn't factor a fret level in, but because Dan is having so much more work just on this far edge, I've cut him a real good deal on this, and I'm just charging him for an extra 1 hour's work, and there's probably an extra 3 hours work altogether. The thing is, because he's already spending money anyway, I thought I can't charge him for a full fret level. There you go. And there, so that's this side and that side. So already we have 5 high frets. I'm doing this properly for the first time, by the way. Let me just zoom in a little. I did check very briefly the frets for level off camera, but now I've straightened the neck. There you go. So just this edge of this one. So already we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frets needing attention. Now we get to this in the middle, just a bit there, just in the middle of that one. So there's 7, and you're going to get this when you buy a kit guitar. Frets are not going to be bang on at all. But I think now we're getting towards this end of the guitar. That one's a little bit high. Right, okay, 8 frets. But I think down this end of the neck, I think the frets are actually all right. So let's go check in there. Yeah, it's a little bit high. I think the rest of them are going to be just about alright. He says, famous last words. I'm not counting. Anyone still counting? Now if I'd have factored this in earlier, I'd have said, right, you've got 100 quid for that in your setup, and your pickups installing would have been another 45 quid. You'd have been looking at a more expensive job. Then you've got your bits on top, so it's saved a good wedge. Oh, that's a little bit high as well. This is no surprise to me, by the way, on a kit build guitar. No surprise to me at all. That edge. Yep, so there you go. So let's count how many frets are out of whack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 frets out of 22, 13 out of 22, so it definitely needs a fret level. What I'm going to do now is, all the areas I've marked off with marker pen. Let's first ascertain that this neck is straight. You know, let's not start making money for nothing and telling fibs. The neck is straight. There's a tiny bit of a gap there, tiny bit of a gap there. It means the wood itself is a little bit up and down. That's fine. That's still what I consider to be a straight neck, because we're right at this end, we're right at this end, and we're right in the middle. That is good enough for me. We always have to determine, there's always a little tiny bit of a trade-off if the wood is not exactly straight. So straight neck, so let's go again, let's test each fret. Listen for the rock. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, well, it's not rocking now for some reason. Maybe I measured the wrong one. 10. We certainly have 11 frets. Can I make that one rock? No, I cannot, so that one's not rocking. So we still have 11. Checked twice for you to see. Straight neck, 11 frets still need attention. So what I'm going to do now is, because I've got that neck now determined that to be straight, I need to tape up the whole fingerboard, and we're going to go across with a leveling beam. We're going to level the whole lot. I will show you a little bit more about that later. So now we have the camera back in a normal position, I've decided to show a little part of the job that I don't normally show, and that is when it comes to me leveling the frets. If I've got some really quite high compared to the others, I normally, off camera, I go and attack them with a file, and I get them pretty much close to where they want to be. And then when they're very close, I take a finer file and get them as level as possible to the other ones. And once that's done, once I've done all the frets that need quite a bit of material removing, I'll go across with the leveling beam, the whole beam in one. And I don't normally show my file work, because I don't know why. Maybe because it's boring or whatever, but it is slightly, well, it's not so much an unorthodox way. Say for instance I've got 2 frets there and I've got 1 a third higher. If I go across with a beam the whole lot and I'm doing all the frets, it's going to take ages to get that drop down to that level. But if I attack it with a file, I can remove a lot of material quickly. You do have to be careful. I've already done off camera 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've already done 7, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left to do. So I'm going to turn the camera around again, and it's not going to be super explanatory. I'm not going to zoom in or anything. I'm just going to go at my work, do my job, and I'll explain little things as I do it. So stay right there. I'm going to move the camera live, so to speak, and it won't take me long, and that's good enough. Right there is good enough, and I'm just zooming in just a little, and that's fine. So I've already done these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frets, or 7 frets down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left to do. And what I'll do is I'll determine on this one how much rock we have. Not a great deal, so I can just go across with this file. I don't need to remove a lot of material, and I'm just gonna, this is quite a coarse file, this one, and just remove a little material. And now it's not rocking. Then I'll go 1 back to see if it's altered anything behind it, and I'll go 1 in front. That 1 in front is still high, so that's good, that's very good. I've removed enough material. Move on to the next one. High in a couple of places, so, and it's high a little bit on this edge. Very uneven fret, this one. Just follow the contour. You get to feel, you know, when you've been doing this as long as I have, you get to feel where the bumps are and where it's not right. And again, I'll just check, and that's good everywhere. Then I'll go 1 back again, check again, because now, once I've done one fret, it'll alter how these two are in relation to it, the two each side. So I'll just, that one now is still a little bit high on that edge now. And I'll go back there, it's fine. So I'll go back to the one before, and I'll just remove a little again. That's now level. The one behind it is still level, which is great. And the one in front, the one I've just done, is good. And the one in front of that one. There you go, a little bit on there, a little bit there, a little bit there. So I think I can just attack this one with a finer file, because it doesn't need a lot removing. And all I'm doing with this is getting them pretty close, still a little bit high. Getting them pretty close so I can go across all of them with a beam, and that's it, that's fine. We go one back again. And you can see how quick this is, getting them relatively level. And there you go. Next one should be this one here. Quite high there, but only on that edge. So again, clean file. I don't normally talk when I work, so still a little bit high. Swap files. Much finer cut file. This is my Swiss made number 4 cut file. It's a beautiful file. It's my favourite. It glides across the frets and it cuts really smoothly. I still want a little tiny bit high. I think that should be right. It is right. I'll go back one. Now the one behind is eye up on that edge, so we're going to remove some from there. And this does happen because when you remove material from one, it's going to alter those around it. There's 2 frets either side, and that's good. Now move on to the next one, a little bit high on there, and you now begin to see how it works. So say for instance I only have 4 frets to do, say this is one of them. If I remove material from this, it's going to alter its relationship to this fret, and that fret, 2 more each side. So I might have 4 to do, but I could end up doing another 16 on top of that. That's why once I get above 4 frets needing attention, I just decide to do a fret level and do roll. This is just getting me close to where I need to be. That's a little bit high. Just check I've got the right one. Yeah. And that's good. Again, that's changed the relationship on that one slightly. So that's good, that's good. So you now see how altering one fret alters its relationship between that fret and other frets. This one just needs a little bit of material removing. And you see I've already done 5 on camera. Now these are by no means finished or level proper yet. That's good. Check the one behind. Good. Last one. Again. Just a little. And that's it. A little bit higher there. And now we have all the frets level with each other. What I will do now is I'll clean the fingerboard. So each fret next to the next fret, next to the next fret, next to the next, next to the next, next to the next are all level. It doesn't mean that the frets are level across the whole fingerboard. We might have a little tiny arc in there or something. So what I'm going to do now is clean the files for starters, because they can go away. I'm not going to need them now. I'm going to tape up the fingerboard, leaving the frets exposed. I'm first going to check that we're absolutely level, which I'm sure we are, and we are. Beautiful. And I'll be going across now next with the levelling beam. I'll not be going with a 240 grit, there's no need, because I'm not removing a lot of material. I'll be going with a 400 grit side, and I'll be just levelling everything. So I'll get them taped up, I'll cover all of the frets in marker pen, and once I've been across with this, this is milled absolutely flat, this levelling beam, and once I've removed all the pen, leaving the tops all exposed silver, I know all the frets are level with each other, then we can move on to the recrowning. So I hope that's helped you, I hope that's explained a little bit more, and I will come back and show the levelling with the beam shortly. I'll just show a little more as well. To protect the fingerboard, when we're levelling the frets and recrowning, what we do is I masking tape the edges of the neck right just below the top of the neck, so both the sides are masked, and then what I do is I'll take some masking tape and I will go and protect the fingerboard like so. And what we'll do is we'll just be putting strips of masking tape right next to the fret, covering the fingerboard, and when we get to a place where we don't have enough tape in just one width, we will overlap like so. We'll just take some, and there you go. And this is going to protect the whole fingerboard. It'll protect it from my files, protect it from any sandpaper or anything. And I'll do this for the whole neck, all the way up the fingerboard, using different thicknesses of tape, blah 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 blah. I've got 6mm, 19mm, 25mm, and I'll cover the whole fingerboard, meaning the whole fingerboard is protected. And once I've finished the levelling, the recrowning and the polishing, I can peel all this tape off and there'll be no damage anywhere on the fretboard. It'll be perfectly clean as it is right now. Then we'll just treat it with oil, glue a nut on, and we can go and get the guitar set up. And here we are, ready to level the frets. And all I'm going to do is go across with the 400 grit paper, and we're looking to remove all the black pen from the tops of all the frets. And once it's all gone, we can safely assume that all of the frets are level, and they are not just level, they are level with each other. So let's give it a go. I'm not pressing down, I'm just letting the beam do the work, following the radius. And that is it, and we are all done. And the tops of all of the frets are silver all the way across. It means all of the frets are level. So all we have to do now is clean up. All I've got to do now is some of the frets, we've flattened them. If you have a crown going this way, it's like a D shape, like that sort of shape. It's like a dome shape going across there. And some of the frets we've slightly flattened, or we've flattened the tops, and we need to put that full dome or the crown back in. So I will mark up all the frets again. I'll take my crowning files and where we've gone flat, I'll put that crown back in, because all we need is minimal contact with the top of the fret and the bottom of the string. I normally aim for around about 1/3 to 1/4 of a millimetre. So that is what I'll do. I'll get set up for that, and I'll come and show you a little of that as I do it. I'm very quickly going to show how to crown a fret, but the reason I'm going to do it quite quickly is I want to crack on and get this done this afternoon. So I have 3 files, 3-edge file with ground flat edges, and I'll be using this to crown. And what I'll do is I'll go vertical, and as I file I'll roll away from my camera on this side, and I'll be creating that crown on one side. Then I'll move over to the other side of the fret, I'll start vertical again, and I'll roll towards the camera, and I'll be creating that crown again on that side, thus giving us the full crown. I have that file to do it with. I also have this file, which is virtually the same kind of file, 3 ground flat edges, but it's a much finer cut. I'll finish with that, and then for final profiling I'll finish with this one, which will just remove any burrs. So without too much more explaining and faffing about, always clean your file. Hold the guitar steady, vertical, and I'm going to roll towards the camera just to start removing a little bit of material. and it cuts on the push stroke. Now I've done that side, I'm going to move over to the other side, start vertical, and again rolling away from the camera this time. And now I just have a thin black line down the centre of that fret. Clean the file, go over to the finer cut one, very, very smooth. You can feel it cutting. Again, the other side. Because we've got ground flat edges as well, we're not cutting into the tape on the fingerboard, so we're not causing any damage anywhere. And now we have a thin line down the centre of that fret. It was about, at the moment it's about 1/2 millimetre. I'm just going to get that a little bit thinner. It is now about the 1/3 of a millimetre. And now I'll remove the flat area, got it back into a crowned state. I'll take a 2.5 mm wide file and I'll just finish, just remove the burrs. And that is one fret recrowned. I have 21 more to do. There's no point me showing you any more. I've shown you how to do it. I also show this more in depth on other videos if you want to go and look at my back catalogue. But that fret now, we'll just remove material from the edges to make it from flat to crowned, and we still have that thin black line down the centre showing we've removed no material from the top. Got 21 more to do, so I'm going to crack on with that. Once that's done, we're going to move on to the polishing. Moving on, we are now at the other bench. This is a bench I use for polishing the frets, and we polish not to make the frets shiny. Well, that's part of the reason we polish, but we polish to remove all the scratches we put on there using the files and to make them shiny. And what I do is I go with 6 different grits of paper, sandpaper, and I start with 800. I go for 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000 and finish off with 2500. Once done, I will complete the polishing process with finest grade steel wool. And now I start is I'll take my 800 grit, and what I'll do is first I will sand over the edges of the bevels just to round them over, like so. And then when I get to this, when I get past the vise, we can just go across and we'll just round them over. And we'll just skim. I've already done it, and just skim straight down there just to give them a nice smooth edge so we don't cut into our nice fingers. Then all it is, it's a matter of going over each fret, over the top, and get into the corners. I'm actually between these 2 frets, but I'm pushing that way to get into the corner of the bottom of this first one or the 22nd one, depending on which way you look at it. And there you go, and that's one done. And I shall do this with all 6 grits of paper on all 22 frets. I think that's something like, if you count them up, that's 132 polishes. Well, it's like polishing 132 frets, and then I'll finish again with the steel wool. So it's 154 different polishes, and it takes a while, and it makes your arm ache, and it's boring. And so this is the reason I do this off camera. That's 2 done. 20 more to do, then 5 more grits of paper to do, then the steel wool. But I do this off camera because it takes so long. But basically, between different grades of paper, I will brush off, and then I'll move to the next grid. And I'll start at this end, finish there, then I'll start the next row from that end, work that way, and back that way, and back that way, back that way, back that way, using all 6 grits, cleaning between each one. I'll come back and show you the final bit of polishing when I get to the steel wool. Right, my cup of tea's made it onto the video, that's good. That's my mug, it's my favourite mug, can you see it? Probably can't see it there. There you go. What do you think to that? That's what I'm all about. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this. I will come back when I'm at the stage of using the steel wool to do the final polishing. Right, a small update. I'm beginning to lose the light, so I'm not going to be filming any more of this tonight, and I will get the polishing finished. So there's not going to be an update on this part of the process later. One other thing also that comes to mind is I was going to replace a nut with a tusk nut, a Graphtec tusk nut, but I've just tried it for fitment on the end of the neck there, and it's not tall enough. So I'm going to have to stick back. I'm going to put on the original nut, which is a shame because it's a piece of plastic and it's not very pleasant. But what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to carve it. I will carve it down, I will tidy up the slots, and I'll have to stick that one back on because I've not got anything else in stock. It's the only thing that's really high enough. And if that's too low with the slots in there as they are, because I've just filed the nut shelf to straighten it and level it a bit, I do have another one of these in stock, so I may just have to go with a crappy plastic nut. I'm not going to charge for it. I'm going to actually knock the money off I was going to charge for the Graphtec nut. It's just not high enough, so there's no point in me trying to put it on. I could put a shim under there. I don't like putting shims under nuts, and I don't have any material anyway. So I'm going to go with either the old nut or a new nut that's just like the old nut, piece of plastic. And like I say, I won't charge for it, but that will be in an update tomorrow because I'm not filming anymore because like I say, I'm losing the light. So I'm going to crack on, get this polishing done, and I will be back with an update later on. Right, just a very quick update on where we are with this Firebird, and we've been across with 5 different grits of paper, and I've then finished off with what do you call it, steel wool, and that is the frets all levelled and polished, so the neck is just about ready to go back onto the guitar. One thing I've also got to do is replace the nut, and the nut I got, the Graphtec one, is not high enough, or well, none of them are high enough, but what I've found is I found a brand new graphite nut that I had in stock. It's black, it's the right width and it's the right height, so I'm going to stick this on. There you go, we've got loads of height there to play about with, so I'm going to get this one stuck on. I'm just going to file the edges because it's a little bit too wide. I'm going to put that one on there and we're going to carve that one down. So I'm going to charge him off the price of a Graphtec, so it's going to charge him £5 for filing down and fitting this. So that's going to save me a little bit of money there. It's the best I have in stock. It's definitely going to look better than the original piece of crap plastic one. So that's what I'm going to do. Got to get that on, get the neck back on, get some strings on. We'll get that nut cut and shaped. We'll get the guitar set up and it will be ready to go. I will come back when the guitar is ready. Right guys, we're getting to the end of where we need to be with this Firebird kit guitar. I've got the nut on, I've just put the strings on. We're up to, more or less up to tension. I've not stretched the strings in properly yet, that's because I'm going to be cutting the nut. I've just set the intonation on the bridge, on the saddles. The G is not quite intonated, I'm going to have to move that G saddle just a little bit to get that right. But you see we have a nut on there, and the action on the nut is really high at the moment, and we're going to cut the nut slots. And I'm not really going to show it on camera because I showed it on the last video I did, but what I will do is I'll explain what we do. We take some nut slot files here, and I will cut the nut slots with the strings on. And I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll show you a little bit of how that goes. So just bear with me a second. And you don't need to be in suspense then, aren't you? And you can see enough here. And it's a matter of, these got 2 cuts each file. This one, for instance, has got a 17 cut and a 46. So 17 being the 3rd string, 46 being the 6th. First string being a 10. So the first one will be a 10 and a 26. Your next one will be a 13 and a 36. And you've got a 17 and a 46. And what it means is, I just check how high the slots are, the strings are. That's very high. It's going to need at least 1mm cutting into that nut. And basically what I'm going to do is take the 46 and I'm going to carve into the nut like so. And I'm not going to zoom in. No need. And I'm going to follow the angle of the nut, angling it down towards the tuner, and I'll just go slightly left and right, just slightly, just to open and flare up that slot. You don't need to do a lot of cutting, it's a graphite nut, it cuts relatively easily, and I'm still high on there. I'll grab a feeler gauge, and it's just a matter of cutting the nut slots until we get to the depth required. I go with varying sizes depending on what kind of action, what kind of tuning we're using. This will be used in drop D, so it's basically an E with just a drop D. So I'm quite happy to go round about 0.3 or 4mm. I'll set up for 0.4 on this one, and we're still about 1.5mm there. I'll go to about 0.25 on this one. And then what is, I'll bring them all down. I'll go from about 0.2 to about 0.35. That's the space between the top of the fret and the bottom of the string. Be a nice low-ish set. And we could go lower, but there's no need to take the mickey, especially if we're going to play down tune and playing ever. We don't need notes ringing out. So let me just check where I need to be with this again. We're 0.4 there. We're miles above that. So Let's get in there, try and keep it, well, we need to keep it, not try and keep it straight, keep it straight. And once I've got the depth where I want it, I'll remove the strings later and we'll reshape the top of the knot and we'll carve quite a bit off there to bring it down to the level of where we need it. Struggling to take some more material out of there. I probably could have used a lower knot, but you know, it's better to be safe than sorry, isn't it? It's always tempting to go a bit gung-ho. Before you know it, you've gone too deep. Once you've gone too deep, the knot's knackered. So let's not go too deep. Just buzz in. It's perfect. It's exactly where I need to be with that slot. So as explained, I'll move along. I'll do each string. Once I've got to where I want to be, I'll loosen the strings, put it back on the vice over there, and I'll carve across the knot, and we'll just be leaving the top of the strings exposed in the slot. These ones will be fully inside the slot. We'll keep it, get that down nice and low, we'll get a nice good shape, and that will be ready. Once that's done, I'll stretch the strings in, set the action on the bridge and at the 12th fret, and that will be done. So I will definitely now only be back once this guitar is finished. Sorry guys, there's hecking nothing I can do about the light. It's just coming to dusk. We're coming towards the end of the year. We're, well, I say end of the year, end of October. And the light's it's fading out a bit, isn't it? You know what I mean? But anyway, I just wanted to film this now because I've got this guitar finished, and let me tell you something. Wow, just look at it. Absolutely beautiful. And I know the owner says he wanted a black pickguard on there, but I said, look, it's going to cost you 40 quid. I'm going to charge you 25 quid to cut one. I'm going to charge you an hour to make one. And it cost him 15 quid for material, so I said, just do it yourself and I'll tidy it up when you bring it back. Anyway, let's recap what this has had, and then I'll tell you how it sounds. So it's a kit guitar, and he didn't like the Firebird headstock, so he asked for this neck to come with it, which he got in his kit. I think the kit cost him 150 quid. And anyway, he had EMG active pickups in there. Now let me tell you something, he wanted to replace them with passives, and he's gone for ToneRider, with ToneRider detonators or something like that, whatever they are. Let me tell you, these pickups. This guitar sounds 10 times better than it did with the EMGs in it. I'm not slagging off EMGs, I've had guitars with active EMGs in it, but out of all the active pickups I've ever had, EMGs are probably not my favourite. I don't know. I do like them, I've liked them in guitars, but in this they sounded awful. These ToneRiders sound absolutely amazing. I put a new set of strings on there, Diodario 1046s. You've got the new pickups, you've got 4 brand new pots in there, new capacitors, new wiring. These pots I got from China. I think they cost me about 2 quid each, something like that. I've charged him 150 per pot. I've charged him 6 quid for 4 pots. They're absolutely fine. I wouldn't recommend them in my better guitars or my better work, but they're absolutely fine for what we are. I wouldn't hesitate to stick them in Epiphones and stuff like that. And they work absolutely fine. The sweep's fine. The guitar is amazing. The sound of this guitar is amazing. It sounds absolutely fantastic. I know Dan is going to be absolutely over the moon. Regarding the nut, I was going to put a graph tape nut on there, but when it arrived, it wasn't tall enough. So I said, I'll look in the parts box, and I've got some graphite nuts in my parts box, and I found a really good one, and I've put it on, and I've folded it down, and we've got it nice and low, carved nice. That's as best I can get you, that angle. I've carved it at the edges and everything, carved it right down, and it's beautiful. And the guitar, it looks, for what it is, it looks fantastic. But it's all done, and I've played it, got the action really nice and low. 1.75mm on the low E at the 12th fret, 1.6mm on the high E on the 12th fret. It just plays and sounds fantastic. Much better than you'd imagined. Definitely it sounds a lot better than the EMGs. The EMGs and all the crap that came with it are in that bag there, just dumped in there. I'm not interested in them. They're going to go back with the owner. And that's it, the guitar is done. I was going to save the end of this filming until the morning, until I had better light, but I want to get out of the way tonight, so I've finished it now. Just say the ToneRider pickups were brilliant. No, I'm not a pickup snob. I do love Seymour Duncans. I have Seymour Duncans in my own guitars and I love them. I also have what you call boutique pickups. I have some Oil Cities in my strap, which are brilliant. And I stuck an iron gear in there, which is brilliant. I've had another pickup arrive today from a seller in France. And it's a crew called a Crusader. It's an Invader copper. It's cost me about 27 quid with postage. I don't know if it's any good or not, but I bought it to try out anyway. So Another one I'm going to try out, and I'm going to compare this with my Seymour Duncan Custom Shop Invader, and I'm sure this is going to be just as good. So, when it comes to pickups, and don't get me wrong, I've tried them all. I've had lace, I've had DiMarzio's, I've had bare knuckles, you know, a big broad spectrum of pickups, and I'll tell you now, iron gears are no worse than any of them. They're as good as all of them. I'm not going to be a pickup snob anymore. I'm going to go to iron gears for my pickups in the future. And also, I'll give a big shout out for Oil City Pickups based down in London there. I think it's based down in London. Ashley at MXM Pickups, what a guy. Those pickups are amazing. So my recommendations for pickups are Oil Cities. They're a little bit more expensive than iron gears are going to cost you, but they are handmade and unwound in England. Then, failing that, go and get yourself some iron gears. They're fantastic pickups. You'll save yourself. You go for at least half the price of a big name brand, maybe even a third of the price. You know what I mean? I was going to put a bare knuckle in one of my guitars recently and I couldn't get the one I wanted, so I went and put an iron gear in there. Iron Gear Dirty Talk, absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to topic in question. This Firebird kit guitar, beautiful. Really enjoyed working on it. It's now ready to go back to the owner. So, just before I go, my website, facebook.com/NGONESEVEN, facebook.com/NG17. For those of you who are deaf, facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. Go and check me out on there. All my goodies is on there. Everything you need to know about me is on there. I have my videos of my work on there. So this is me, Victor Christian, your fret friend, signing off. And as always, just a reminder, as I sign off, be good to each other. And I'll see you again soon.